Thank you very much for having me, Mr. George. I think it's a very good question. And I must tell you that Nigeria has been in a very terrible situation as far as food security is concerned. The level of hunger in Nigeria is quite very high. I may remember that the World Food Program conducted a survey in 2022, and under the Global Hunger Index, Nigeria ranked 103rd. That's 103rd out of 121 countries that were surveyed, and it scored 27.3 index, which is a level of serious hunger. So, and this serious hunger is a very serious cause for concern. And why is this so? Of course, there are many factors, but the first factor that we may have to look at quickly is the issue of population. The population of Nigeria as of today, 1st October 2023, is 224,712,407 people. We have the annual increase of food production, at about 3.3%, while the population increase is about 5 million per year, which translates to about 16,000 people almost every day in 2023. So that actually is a very serious issue to feed everybody, and I'm happy that the president, Bola Tinubu, immediately he took over. He declared emergency on food security, and I believe that is the reason why he even renamed the FMAT, what we know, that's the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, to Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. This is really to address the issue of food security. So as far as the policy statement is concerned, the intention is quite very good, but of course the challenges is when you are going to implement the issue of the food security. So let's look at what is this food security all about. I want to tell you that food security is the mastermind of all other securities: banditry, corruption, insurgency, kidnapping, and many other things. Emanates from the issue of food security, because every mouth needs food, and people can go to any lengths, illegal or legal, to acquire means of getting food, and that is why the issue of food security is very fundamental in any society. And now let's look at what is this state of emergency. Emergency is a situation that requires immediate action to avoid calamities happening. And state of emergency for the government provides the government with the power necessary to protect people and property without due protocol. That is when a state declared, state of emergency. So, and that means that government now has a liberty to go extra mile without following due protocol as far as issue of food security is concerned. So it's a very laudable one, and I hope and I pray that the government will be able to do that. So now coming back to the issue of food security and even people that are hungry.
Yes.
I always ask myself, why should Nigerians be hungry? Nigerians should not be hungry, because honestly speaking, the country is endowed with labor, land, and water, which are the topmost resources required for the development of agriculture. Like I have mentioned, Nigeria has over 200 million population, and 75% of these populations are under the age of 35. That means that they are very active in society. And then coming back to the land, Nigeria has 91 million hectares of arable land, with only merely about 50% being utilized. That means that almost 50% that is expected to be utilized and is not being utilized. So, and luckily also for this land, is capable of producing over 100 commodities all year round. That we look at wet season and dry season farming. Nigeria can produce over 100, different agricultural commodities. And many countries in the world cannot even produce 10 agricultural commodities because of their climate and the land that do not permit that. So we can see that Nigeria has no reason. Then, in addition to that, Nigeria has 7 distinct climate zones, which provide average annual rainfall from about 600 millimeter around Maiduguri and region to about 4,000 millimeters in riverine areas. This wide range of rainfall, annual rainfall, allow the country to produce food continuously over there. So, in addition to that, again, we are also very lucky to have River Niger that passes through many countries and pass through Nigeria and convey about 5,589 cubic meters of water per second into the river, into the Atlantic Ocean. And that means that most of the water being carried from across the countries is passing through Nigeria and way into the Atlantic Ocean. And it means that the country has a very big opportunity to harness this water and utilize it, before it goes to the Atlantic Ocean. So these are the things that when you put all this together and you now find that Nigeria is not capable of feeding itself, then you start wondering, why is it so? And the truth is, the reality is that Nigerian low agricultural productivity is one of the lowest in the world. Because, for instance, for grains, the average yield of per hectare in many countries is about ranging from between 8 tons per hectare even to 14 tons per hectare. But in Nigeria, hardly farmers get 2 tons per hectare, which means it's very low. So you have to access it. Why is it so? Honestly speaking, there have been several issues, but 3 fundamental issues I can talk about. That if we can address those issues, I am very sure that Nigeria will be able to feed itself and even export food to African countries or any other countries, because we have the land, we have the water, we have the people. But what we need to have the knowledge, we need to have the equipment, we need to have the government, willpower to coordinate and direct what should be done. So, one of the things that has been happening over the years, the first reason that we have been having this low agricultural productivity is the truth that the investment in agriculture has been very low over the years. For instance, from 2000 to 2007, the investment in agriculture ranged between 1.3% to 3.4% of our annual budget. This is quite very low. And let me also tell you that trend has not significantly changed, because from that 2000 to up to date, there has never been a time that the federal government allocated up to 5% of its budget to agriculture.
Professor, sorry, I may have to cut you here. We'll just go and break. I've been busy listening to all that you're saying, and they are all making serious sense. But then you have to continue when we come back after this short break. So with that, we'll go for a very short break, and I'll be right back to continue with this lovely interview with Professor Othman Mohammed. I'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still on to the economy today. And yes, the professor there has been giving us a lecture on what is exactly happening with the agricultural sector. He has been able to state that, the population of Nigeria is well above about 240 million at the moment, though we don't have a census for that yet. We don't have a proper calculation for that yet. And yet Nigeria has enough of land to grow its farmland. And the administration of this present administration has been able to state that the agricultural sector should embark on an emergency, drive at the moment because there's an emergency in that sector of food security, providing for all Nigerians, and also the other rest of Africa. And he has stated that yet if Nigeria uses its manpower, uses its land properly, uses its season, the way its weather, it's so good for agriculture, uses it so well, we'll be able to not only feed Nigeria, but also feed the rest of the world. But then all these things you have said are quite true, Professor. But if you would agree with me, you were talking about investments, the low investment in that area. Now, government seems to be the heaviest investor in agriculture. And some of our agriculture, there's some majority of those who are in agriculture in this country are the small-scale agricultural holders. That's the small agricultural men and women who are out there. And one of the biggest challenges they're having is funding. Funding seems to be a very big challenge. Banks don't want to give to small businesses, small agricultural farms, because they say agriculture is no good business. I mean, it's a long-time thing. Before they start recouping their investments back, it will be a long time. It will be it may even run out. Then they give the money to those big-time farmers, those ones that are even still in politics. Some of them very big farmers who just collect these loans at even a subsidized rate. And a little is said about some of these small-scale farmers. So how can the government now come into this place now and make sure that everybody gets the right, funding, for their agriculture, implements, that is equipment for their lands, the right seedlings, like you have rightly said, the seedlings are not enough, even though the federal government did order that about 200,000 metric tons of grains be distributed to farmers, though we do not know how true that is. That's the farmers need correct funding. So what is your take on this?
Thank you very much, Mr. George. I think, I was talking about,
Hello, sir.
Importantly,
Can you hear me?
2023, the budget of agriculture of the federal government is merely 228.4 billion naira. What it means is that government has very little to spend on agriculture, no matter how it is talking about, and the budgeted allocation should be increased to reach what the head of government of the African Union term Maputo Declaration in 2003, which is 10%, and this declaration was also affirmed in 2014 called Malabo Resolution. So if government can increase the funding of agriculture to about 10%, honestly speaking, a lot of things can be changed. Because when you're talking about, subsidy, the subsidy is not only on the issue of fertilizer. Fertilizer is just one issue. There are many other things. The most important even issue is the issue of knowledge. The farmers need to have skill to be able to do, what is required of them. Because I must tell you that if you are given, fertilizer, adequate fertilizer, and you don't know how to make use of it, at the end of the day, the fertilizer will be wasted. So there's that need, and that is the only way that we can go. That means that there must be what we call agricultural extension service delivery. So currently, there has been very, very low agricultural extension services across the nation, and that is the major issue, that government must support these services. If these services are supported, and they will be training the farmers, and the farmers will be able to acquire enough knowledge, because agriculture today is knowledge driven. That is why in many countries farming is termed as a business venture, not just for hobby or just for necessity to feed the family. It must be done like that. So that is why I want to tell you that, like, there are one, the financial investment, which is very low, and two, there's also issue of technical challenge, and this technical challenge includes lack of access to improved food production, processing and handling, and technology for an adequate infrastructure. Like I mentioned, we have, we're only cultivating about 50% of our arable land. What it means is that the other part is not, developed because there's no infrastructure. They have people have access, road to go to those places. Even if you produce over there, it will be very difficult for you to go to such land, and it will be very difficult for you to bring out whatever commodities are produced in such land. So these are responsibilities of government. Development of infrastructure, rural infrastructure, so that this land people can go. You may find that there are a lot of land around the towns. That is why, and that land have been fragmented. That is why the average land holding in Nigeria for farmers, for small scale farmers that constitute about 80% of the farming population, is about 4.5 hectares. What it means that half of a hectare, that is quite very low. When you compare to what is, we are talking about smallholder farmers in other countries, farmers with 10 hectares, 20 hectares are considered as smallholder farmers. But in Nigeria, when you have about 10 or 5 hectares, you are even considered a medium or even not large scale holder farmer. Because the land that are being utilized over the years are the land that are very close to towns. And every year, farmers, cultivate, and so because of that, the fertilities is eroding, and there are a lot of problems, a lot of challenges. So government need to come to that. That is one of the issue of the technical issues that I'm talking about, issue of extension delivery services. Then the other issue that has just come in now and again of recent years is issue of security. The security challenge is quite enormous, and it's quite very, very terrible. In fact, a compromised security system is the most deadliest security challenge at all times, and that is one of the major problems, because the cattle herders, the Fulani who are majorly been accused of this banditry, over the years, government has actually not been paying much attention on livestock farming, because agriculture, as I've said, is being neglected. But the livestock sector is more being neglected than even the crop farming. And that is why over the years, this just about 0.5 liters of milk, and then there are no places for grazing, and they move from one place to another. And over the time, they have been having a lot of conflict between crop farmers and herders, and that conflict transformed into what we call today banditry, and it has become a banditry. And this issue of banditry has made many people not to go to the farm. I know several farms. Last 10 years, people cannot access to them because cannot go to those farms, because going to those farms is very deadly, because you can easily be kidnapped or even be killed. So that is one of the major challenges that actually, is need to be addressed. So I have mentioned the challenges of one, investment, low investment; two, technical, and then three, the security challenge. So what do? There are a lot of things that can be done. For instance, on the issue of addressing the security challenge, there are two ways. The first one is the issue of even the recruitment system of security personnel. There's an allegation of mass corruption when it comes to recruitment of security personnel into maybe, police force, military, and so on and so forth. That needs to be checked, and then the security personnel also must be well trained. Most of our security personnel, many of them are not well trained, and they don't even have the modern security gadget. That is why sometimes when bandits come, they allow them, because the bandits are normally coming with very highly sophisticated arms that is carried. So that is some of the issue. And then the intelligence system needs to be strengthened. It has to be strengthened very well. So if we can address those issues on the issue of the security, of course, that also the concept of community policing. We need to introduce the community policing in our rural areas, so that the rural dwellers will be able to defend themselves. They should be trained to be able to address issues